Jew hater Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib decided to hang a Palestinian flag outside her office on Capitol Hill this week, while at the same time declaring herself to be an American-Palestinian who is against the apartheid that Israel's government is imposing in Judea and Samaria. Her lies couldn't be more evident. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, couple of notes before we dive into the latest Jew hatred, you could call it this week. Please hit subscribe. We're at the beginning of 2023. We want to hit at least 100,000 subscribers on YouTube this year, so you can help us out by smashing subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also let us know if you're a new listener, if you've been watching for a while, down in the comment section below. You can follow us on social media, especially our post about Rashida Tlaib this week on Twitter. And if you can share that, then we can actually combat her message, which went out to potentially, millions, not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. We can share her message of hate. We can combat that anti-Semitism. Just a quick note, if you want to come to Israel in 2023, we suggest you check out all of the trips and programs that we host here in Israel. We have tree planting volunteer programs, volunteer programs for young and old, families, singles, men, women, special program just for young people. And we have the only Israel tour that focuses on Israel's biblical heartland that we know of anywhere. We host all that right here. You can check out all of our trip options at serveisrael.com. We'll have the link down in the description below. Check it out at serveisrael.com. Now is the perfect time to make plans to visit Israel in 2023.
Guys, we're diving right in on Rashida Tlaib's latest. Now, I'm telling you, as what would be considered by the left as like a champion for human rights, we've got to dive in here and really expose what kind of human rights are you talking about when you put literally a terrorist flag in front of your office on Capitol Hill. That is outrageous. And we're going to talk about not only how that's related to Israel, but also American. That should be like the most, it should be treasonous to put such a flag on Capitol Hill after you learn all the details. Luke, we're diving into a lot of details here that I'm sure all of you guys are going to be fascinated with. But as we kick off, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib posted on Twitter a picture of her little cheery smile there, like, yeah, it's all good. I'm taking a picture here. She's, her indigenous people group goes way back thousands of years, I'm sure, and this is their ancient homeland and blah, blah, blah.
But I want to read what she wrote. Yeah, because she posted a photo of herself with the PLO flag right outside her office. And she said, quote, Palestinians may be banned from flying their flag under an apartheid government, but we can still proudly do it at my office. I'm proud to be a Palestinian American, and I want the Palestinian people to know that not all Americans support apartheid. No one can erase our existence. So, right off the bat, we just have to tell you, she's lying.
Right.
Now, her grandmother may live in, from what we know, her grandmother lives in Samaria, I believe, in one of the Arab villages here. So yes, she is the descendant of an Arab from Judea and Samaria, or from somewhere in this region. But where the lies start is she says Palestinians may be banned from flying their flag under an apartheid government. Well, just every other word is like a lie right there. Because number one, the PLO flag, or the Palestinian flag, is not banned from being flown in Israel. It is banned from being flown in support of terrorism, which is typically like whenever you see a flag flying, it's a PLO flag flying, it's usually in support of terrorism. So like many times, yes. But I think I don't know, I don't want to step on any Americans' toes, because there's probably people watching that like to fly the Confederate flag. But I would say that in the United States, it's not illegal, I don't think, to fly a Confederate flag. But if you were flying one and holding an event about, let's say, overthrowing the U.S. government, then you would probably, you might see the police might be showing up on your doorstep. So we're talking about something similar here. Don't hate on me in the comments, guys, okay? I'm just trying to make a little comparison.
You're saying, Luke,
here.
what you're trying to say is the context matters.
Right.
What the reason why you're flying this flag. So if it's in relation to this, if it's connected to a PLO, right? So this flag is the PLO flag, which is deeply connected to terrorism, that has a problem. That's what we really have to boil down here and expose the lies of what's actually going on.
So that's lie number one. Lie number two is she talks about flying the flag under an apartheid government. Now, there's a couple of responses on Twitter and on social media that I think it'd be great to read because this really encapsulates it best. New York Assemblyman Dov Hikind, who now heads the Americans Against Anti-Semitism organization, he said this, quote, "How many Arabs live in Israel? How many Jews live in Ramallah? Nablus? Jericho?" he asked. "You're right. Most Americans do not support Palestinian apartheid in the West Bank and Gaza, where not a single Jew lives. Wave an Israeli flag in Jenin and you'll see what real apartheid looks like." And in case you're just a little bit confused, what he's saying is there's 2 million Arabs that live in Israel. Guess how many Arabs live in Jenin? 0. Nablus, 0. Jericho, 0. And he's absolutely right. Fly an Israeli flag in one of those places and it will be burned within about 2 minutes. Max.
And you may not have your life either. Luke, there's big, huge red signs before you go into areas A specifically that say dangers for your life. Israelis that go in there will be killed. It's not just like you could just, okay, you do or you don't. No, if you go in, you will be killed. It's not just kind of like an apartheid, kind of apartheid. No, it's hardcore apartheid, meaning if a Jew goes into an Arab neighborhood, he dies because there's that much hatred against Jews. Now, if an Arab goes into a Jewish neighborhood, I don't know if you guys know this, it's not that way at all. And matter of fact, as Luke just mentioned, there's nearly 2 million, around 2 million Jews, or 2 million Arabs living in Jewish neighborhoods already. And they're not dead. They're thriving and free. That's the difference. You die if a Jew goes in an Arab neighborhood, and you live under freedom if you're in an Arab in a Jewish neighborhood.
Right. Another response was actually from Arab-Israeli activist Yosef Haddad. Arab-Israeli activist. He's a citizen, an Arab citizen that lives in Israel.
Wait a second. But if it's apartheid, how do you have Arab citizens?
By the way, he makes a practice, like what he does is defends Israel. So he said, quote, "Funny that you as a U.S. Congresswoman don't talk or condemn the burning of the U.S. flag in the Palestinian territories. I guess you really don't care about your country." Ooh. Yeah. U.S. flags are burnt in Palestinian territories. Another person talked about American and Israeli flags being burnt in Gaza and the Palestinian territories. It happens day in and day out. Are Palestinian flags burnt regularly in Tel Aviv? No, okay? Every day, pretty much, Israeli and American flags are burnt in the Gaza Strip. Vice versa is absolutely not happening. So just lie after lie after lie after lie.
Hey guys, we'll be right back. But first, even though we're right here at the end of January, it's not too late to make a New Year's resolution. The world wants you to boycott Israeli products that are produced here in what they call the occupied West Bank. As Israel supporters, we can fight back against BDS by joining the Heartland Challenge. Here's how it works. Pick one item that you can use on a regular basis and commit to only purchasing that item from Israel's biblical heartland. If you're wondering how in the world you can purchase products from Judea and Samaria, go to Blessed by Israel, and they can make that super easy for you. Blessed by Israel is a company that was started by good friends of ours. They source incredible boutique products from small businesses located in Judea and Samaria, and they ship those products straight to you, right to your doorstep. We've partnered with Blessed by Israel to promote the Heartland Challenge, encouraging supporters of Israel all over the world to commit to using certain products only from Judea and Samaria. So whether it's olive oil, tea, soap, ceramics, or something else, Blessed by Israel is encouraging everyone to buy what you believe in, and then share the message with your community and friends. It's time to build and invest in the heartland of Israel. Join the Heartland Challenge and start making a difference today. To find out more, go to Blessed by Israel. Again, that's blessedbyisrael.com to find out more information. Use the code INVEST at checkout for $5 off your first order. Luke, you know what's interesting? Also, I just was thinking about this. Rashida Tlaib, even though she's a congresswoman, she's technically is actually still a refugee, which is really wild because poor thing. You know, you got to feel sorry for her because technically under the UN, Rashida Tlaib, once a refugee, always a refugee for this Palestinian cause. So even though she's now a congresswoman and she's sitting on Capitol Hill and she's just literally throwing lies all over the place. Well, she's still a poor, pitiful Palestinian refugee. Now, go figure on how you could be a refugee and living on Capitol Hill and the top life of American politics. Now, guys, what I also have to throw in there, that this is really outrageous. We've talked a little bit about how it can't be possibly apartheid and how this is outrageous that she would say such a thing. But for you, many of you that are listening are American. This is going to come home to you. She's flying a PLO flag, Palestinian Liberation Organization. I want to bring you back to 9/11. When the planes hit the Twin Towers, when America is attacked brutally by terrorism, and what happens with PLO flag-waving called Palestinians here in Israel. Let's watch this clip real quick, and I just want you to see this. We're just play it right now. We play this clip, and we're seeing, this is in East Jerusalem. These are Palestinians waving Palestinian flags, PLO flags, and they're chanting and thank God, right? That this has happened. Down with America. They're throwing up symbols saying, "Yay!" They're giving like these peace signs, like "Yes, we're winning." And now, not so many years later, we're talking about from 9/11 till now, we have a congresswoman putting that very same flag on Capitol Hill. That should send shivers down your spine to think that the agenda, that terrorism agenda that attacked and brutalized America, is now sitting in Capitol Hill freely speaking. Now, guys, what I'm speaking to you is that putting this flag that supports terrorism, supports death to Americans, death to America, is now sitting on Capitol Hill is treason. In any normal situation, this would be called treason. Luke, is there anything, could you tell me why that's not treason?
So in other words, like Rashida Tlaib is flying the flag of a people that 21 years ago also flew this flag as they were celebrating the attack on the Twin Towers at 9/11, right?
And Luke, let me ask you a question. Has anything changed with that PLO charter?
No,
the
nothing.
PLO anthems, the PLO slogans? Has anything changed from 1964?
Guys, you can check it out. I've got the source links down below. Read the Palestinian charter. Read their anthem. I think I'll probably make a video about this at some point. But because it's crazy. These are the people that Rashida Tlaib is boldly waving their flag outside of her office. I just want to, just in case you're wondering, which you're probably not, Rashida Tlaib has had a steady trend of anti-Israel work while she's been in Congress. She was part of a group of 20 House Democrats that pressured the Biden administration to keep Israel out of the visa waiver program. So a lot of people probably don't know this, but for Israelis to visit the United States, they have to go through a crazy special process just to get a visa approved ahead of time. They don't have a passport where they can just fly to the U.S. as a tourist because Israel is not part of the America's special visa waiver program. It's a no-brainer. It should happen, but because of pressure from people like Rashida Tlaib, they're still not part of that program. Rashida voted against an American bill to resupply Israel's Iron Dome batteries, which, by the way, not only saves Israeli lives, but also saves Palestinian lives. Along with Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib was even prohibited from coming to Israel for violating Israeli law by supporting the BDS movement. Under President Trump's presidency, she's publicly supported the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions movement, and Israel has a law that BDS supporters are not allowed to visit, are not allowed to enter the country. And so they just said, you know what, we're not necessarily targeting congresswomen. It's just, this is our law. You can't come to Israel. Now, Israel said if she wanted to come on a because this was a public tour, a public visit, she wanted to come on a personal humanitarian visit. If she has family here, they would allow her to do that. So they're not discriminating against her in that way. But publicly coming in supporting the BDS movement, they said, no, we have a law against that. You're not allowed to do that. So this is the congresswoman that we're dealing with here.
Luke, I want to talk about more about this flag and why is it in the forefront right now. We have Ben-Gvir, who's just all over the media. Everybody's talking about Ben-Gvir, right-wing politician here in Israel. And this is what he quotes is saying. He says, it's inconceivable that lawbreakers will wave terror flags. So this is the minister here in Israel is calling them terror flags. I 100% agree with his quote here, calling this PLO flag a terror flag. For those in America, you have a terror flag waving on Capitol Hill, just for your information. So we'll continue with the quote. It's inconceivable that lawbreakers will wave terror flags, incite and encourage terrorism. That's what's happening here in Israel. And he'll continue with another quote. I have issued instructions for the removal of the flags which support terrorism from the public space and to stop incitement against the state of Israel. Would that not just be the sane thing to do? This is the reason why Rashida is coming against this, because she's calling it under apartheid, is that he's making it illegal for people to wave these flags in public spaces, by the way. Now, remember, this is enemy number one, enemy of Israel and enemy of America, publicly claiming so. We just saw the video just a minute ago. These are the people that are attacking Western civilization at its finest, and yet under Ben-Gvir's watch, he says, no, we don't wave those flags because this is against who we are, and we're not going to allow our enemies to wave and incite violence in our streets. Makes sense, right? He continues, freedom of expression does not extend to identifying with the terrorist and those who want to harm IDF soldiers. Again, very practical and makes perfect sense to me. Luke, what I also want to nail in here, just now it's getting a lot of attention because we have a conservative right-wing government in Israel. Now, it should be noted, Luke, that the former administration that was more leftist, we had Naftali Bennett and Yair Lapid as prime ministers just before this current government. Both of them went in very leftist directions. And under both of them, they took away and took down PLO flags from public spaces. But yet, did you hear about that? So no, this is not necessarily a left and right issue. This is a survival. This is a anti-terrorist. You don't allow your enemies to wave flags. I don't care if you're left or right. You be strong in your land, and you say no to your enemies, and you don't allow these savage parties and encouragement of violence against the citizens of your country to happen. That's just what you just don't do that. And a right-wing government now is doing, I would say, more than the left-wing government that was here. But the left-wing government also dismantled, took down Palestinian flags. You didn't hear about that. You're only hearing about it now because they're trying to paint it in some sort of radical regime. This right-wing regime is taking over, and they're not allowing enemy flags to be flown in their territory. No, this has always been happening. Luke, we need to talk more about the flag.
So the actual flag, and by the way, PLO stands for Palestine Liberation Organization, which was created in 1964. Okay, in 1964, Israel was not in control of Judea, Samaria, East Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip, the Golan Heights, the Sinai Peninsula. So all of that was in Arab hands. Jordan occupied the so-called West Bank. Egypt occupied Sinai. Syria occupied the Golan Heights. So PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, was created to liberate the rest of Israel, because they didn't want these areas. They didn't want Israel's heartland. They wanted Tel Aviv and Haifa and Ashkelon and Ashdod and Netanya. They wanted all of Israel, and they still do today. That hasn't changed. If you go in the official government offices, they have the entire map of Israel hung up there because that's what they're looking for.
More than that, it's even written on their charters. Like, we'll get into that in just a minute. Luke, I think the flag is very creative because he takes the flag from Jordan. If you don't think these are like relatives here, yeah, they're big time relatives. They were Yasser Arafat takes the Jordanian flag and takes the star off of it and creates the Palestinian flag. That easy. Really. That's all I did. But I think it's also interesting to note that this is the birthplace. If you want to talk about the birthplace of the Palestinian people, and they all like to say that this is an ancestral homeland or whatever, but actually this only goes back to 1964. You don't hear of Palestinians being Arabs. That's what they call Palestine. This is history 101 for you guys. The modern world doesn't ever look behind them at any history whatsoever. They're only looking at like news clips from today at CNN. 1964 is the first mention where there were Arabs living in Israel are beginning to be referred to as Palestinians. That's right. That's what's happened. And this was actually a tactical move on Yasser Arafat coined. He began to create this thing. And what would be shocking for you to know, he's also was connected with Russian KGB on that. You talk about two people that were hostile to Israel and wanted to see to attack Israel in a very tactical, very efficient way, and that's on the international stage, creating a people group. I mean, I'm talking about this is very well thought out, and their agenda is very clear. Create a Palestinian people, and this is the number one poised attack against Israel today. It was a very well thought out plan between Yasser Arafat, even the KGB, as I just mentioned, back in the day, and all kinds of other cohorts all over the world that joined this force, this regime, to do one thing, and that's to fight the nation of Israel that had just literally been founded in 1948, was to fight that very existence to the core. And as you would know, Luke, as you just mentioned, somehow, just randomly, of course not randomly, their map is the exact map of Israel. If you don't understand that this is a war against Israel and the Jewish people, you're blind. This is a war, a tactical war against Israel by the Arab world at large. You have to understand that. This is an attack against the people of Israel by the Arab world. And the Palestinian, this PLO flag, is their banner. Got that? It is their banner. And it was created in 1964.
Not only that, Josh, but the PLO charter they can't even hardly focus on themselves. It's just focused so much on Israel and how bad Israel is. And like I said, we don't have time to go into all of it because we should make an entire video about this. But the liberation of Palestine is mentioned 12 times.
Meaning throwing all the Jews into the sea, liberating all of it. Yeah.
Whenever Palestinian Arabs say liberation, they mean liberating the entire state of Israel and getting rid of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
Article 2 describes the boundaries as being all of Israel, including Judea and Samaria. So they don't just want Judea and Samaria, they want all of Judea and Samaria. We have our own photos of this, guys. It's hanging up. I mean, it's the map of Israel in their schools, in their government buildings, in their offices. What else? Who has determined to amass its forces and mobilize its efforts and capabilities in order to continue its struggle and to move forward on the path of holy war until complete and final victory has been attained.
Look, this is right there in their charter.
Their primary duty is to liberate their homeland, and their national anthem is just as bad. By the oath, under the shade of the flag, by my land and nation in the fire of pain, I will live as a warrior. I will remain a warrior. I will die as a warrior until my country returns. For trying to be an entity and a people group and a government, and their goal of statehood, they're very violent. It's all based, like their charter, their national anthem is just based on violence. It's based on eradicating the Jewish people and taking over the entire
Luke, what I don't know is
Israel.
Why would you say in broad daylight, national slogan, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? You say that openly, but yet the world refuses to believe it. And I would say, just like in Nazi Germany, when the Nazis say we're going to kill all the Jews, and the world's just like, nah, you're not going to do that. Quit it, stop. No, you wouldn't do that. No, they're serious. They want to kick all of the Jews. They literally say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They're not saying free. Guys, Mahmoud Abbas now is 16 years into his term. He's a dictator. That's not freedom. They're talking about free of Jews, not like free like what you're thinking about, a free nation and in a democratic way. No, they're talking about Palestine will be free of Jews. Don't be confused about this. This is the reality of what's going on. Free to install a dictatorship and completely eradicate all Jewish life in the land of Israel is what we have just described to you, from their charter to their national anthem to the national slogan. There it is. Can you add any more to that, Luke?
And in case you haven't put this together yet, these are the people. This is the entity. This is the people who are looking to achieve statehood and free themselves from the quote, apartheid regime on the occupying government in power. These are the people that Rashida Tlaib is flying their flag outside her office on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., in America, as a U.S. Congresswoman who is claiming identity as an American-Palestinian. These people, okay? Bottom line, guys, haters like Rashida Tlaib will continue spouting their anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, because that's really what it is, and anti-Israel rhetoric. Our job is to continue fighting back against this, okay? So her post on Twitter, I've actually retweeted it to the Israel Guys Twitter page. We'll post it below. Your guys' job is to go and share that along with a message about Rashida Tlaib's lies and her message of hate for America and Israel. Guys, grab that post on Twitter, follow the Israel guys while you're at it, but share it. And the more we can share it and get that message out, the more we can expose Rashida Tlaib and fight back against this anti-Semitic movement. Don't forget to join the Heartland Challenge by going to blessedbuisrael.com, link down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube, or if you're listening on podcast platforms, and get that conversation going down below. We'd love to hear from you. Remember to tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We're here every single week with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.